Hello and welcome to the Anthropological Ethics Case Studies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you 3 stories, and each of these stories is a true story about an incident that arose for an anthropologist faced with an ethical dilemma. So what I want you to do is to take out a pencil and a piece of paper, and if you decide you want to write your answers on your computer, that's fine too. Just make sure that you print it out to bring it to class with you on Friday so that it can get stamped and added to your field notes package that you're going to turn in at the end of the semester. Case number 1, the adopted granddaughter. After 14 months of fieldwork, plus 9 successive summers, Becky Ross went into the field for her 11th season with a Southwest Indian tribe. When she first entered the field, she had been accepted as a granddaughter by an elderly couple with whom she has always lived. The couple's 3 grown children and their spouses, who live close by, treated her as a sister or sister-in-law. Becky planned to spend the summer catching up on genealogies and reviewing a rough draft of her book on the tribe with her hosts. When she reached the field, Becky learned that her grandfather was not well. He had Alzheimer's disease and diabetes, exhibiting distressing signs of senility and drinking heavily and hallucinating. The illness was particularly painful for Becky, whose parents had moved in with her when her own father had developed Alzheimer's. After a week of settling in, Becky learned that her native brother Bob had an urgent project in a distant city and that he and his wife would not be back until late August. Soon afterward, Rita, her other native sister, told her that she and her husband were leaving on a vacation. The next day, Conchita, the 3rd child, announced that she too had an urgent project and was leaving with her husband. In addition, her 2 cousin nieces left. One had spent a great deal of time doing errands for the old couple. The other one lived just across the path, making her available for emergencies. Before leaving, Conchita said, "We've been taking care of them all year. It's your turn. We all waited until you came to make our trip." So Becky was faced with the prospect of spending the entire summer taking care of these elders and running errands for them rather than doing the genealogical research and book reviewing, manuscript reviewing that she had set out to do. What should Becky do? She felt put upon in a way, but she also felt that she had a sense of responsibility that it came with her role as occasional kin. What do you think that Becky should do? Please pause this and write down your answer, and then start the video again for the next case study. Ethics case number 2, witness to murder. Mary Thompson had been conducting fieldwork in a Southeast Asian community for 18 months. Her house was ideally located on the edge of the village plaza, allowing her to readily observe daily activities that took place in the plaza. In addition to gatherings of women who shared food preparation tasks and talk, and groups of men working individually on carvings, the plaza was regularly a gathering place for men at night. One night, while Thompson was working up some statistical problems in her house, she was distracted by loud, seemingly argumentative discussions in the plaza. When the noise of the argument reached a high pitch, she decided to investigate the situation. Just as she stepped from her doorway, she saw one of the men in the group of 5 angrily raise his machete and deliver a deadly blow to another, Tom, in the group. Stunned silence fell over the other 3 men as they watched their companion quickly bleed to death before their eyes. Moments later, people from the other homes began moving into the plaza in response to the wailing that came from the man who had wielded the machete. Mournful crying and wailing was carried throughout the village. The family members of the dead man carried him to their home and began funeral preparations. The next evening, Tom was buried. The man who had dealt the deadly blow was allowed to participate in the funeral and to make a death payment to the family of the deceased. 2 days after the funeral, 3 regional policemen came to the village. As part of a new government program designed to reduce blood feuds, the regional authorities now regularly sought to arrest and jail people who were involved in killings. They had heard about the recent death. They began questioning the villagers in an attempt to determine if Tom had been murdered. Thompson had written a detailed description of the events of the night of Tom's death in her notebook, which contained a running record of village activities. Thompson's dilemma was this. Since she knew the police would question her, should she quickly tear out and destroy the pages in her notebook where the events were recorded? When questioned by the police, should she, like the other villagers, plead ignorance concerning the killing? Or should she report Tom's murder and tell the police who had murdered him so that the justice of the national courts could be done? Please write down your answer. If you decide to type it onto a computer or other digital device, that's fine too. Just make sure you print out a copy and bring it to class. You want copies of all 3 of your answers to the case study dilemmas when we have our group exercise on Friday. Ethics case number 3, the case of the damaged baby. Halfway through a research project in a newborn intensive care unit, Sarah Michaud, a medical anthropologist, learned that a premature infant had not been given the state-required test for phenylketonuria, PKU, a pathological condition that can be reversed by diet and medication if it is found soon enough. Without immediate therapy, however, cretinous, mental retardation, develops. The 10 weeks premature infant weighed only 700 grams, 1.5 pounds, and had to be fed intravenously. This may have confused the staff since the test has to be given to a baby who's had approximately 6 oral feedings. At any rate, however the error happened, it was not discovered until 2 months after the test should have been given, and the infant did have PKU and had suffered permanent damage. The unit staff, as a group, felt bad about the mistake, but they had no one specific to blame. The house officer in charge of the case initially had finished his training in pediatric intensive care and had just been transferred to another department. The nurse in charge had left her job. In communicating with the parents, the staff decided not to mention the error. Instead, the working-class parents, who were still in their late teens, were told that the baby had a long-term, incurable problem. The parents were enthusiastic about their infant, and they told the staff, "We'll love her anyway because God made her." What should the anthropologist do? Should the anthropologist leave well enough alone, protecting access to her field situation? Should she alert the parents that they have cause for legal action? Should she inform the appropriate state agency? Should she anonymously use the baby doe hotline available in the nursery? Please write down your answer. What should the anthropologist do in this case? And use the points of the anthropological ethics statement that we have been discussing in the lecture. Make sure that if you're typing this on a computer that you print out a copy to bring to class on Friday. I hope you had fun with these ethics assignments. I hope you found them a little bit challenging, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday when we can discuss what actually happened in these cases and how that corresponds to what you thought should happen.